I know all you guys maybe some like trying to find information or any knowledge from the book on the internet. But I think when you go to Alaska, and you better have the chance to go learn something in like in person as a group, and then have some people talking and educated you about the wildlife animal in Alaska and talking about the pelts, and it's a kind of like exciting. So this clip is all about that. So you enjoy and watching it to the end. But I urge you to go in person because it's so much different. When you touch the fur, when you touch the skull, and everything is just amazing. So that's what the clip's all about. วันนี้เราก็จะไปเรียนรู้เกี่ยวกับชีวิตสัตว์ป่าใน阿拉斯加นะคะซึ่งโลคอลไกด์เขาก็จะมาอธิบายให้เราฟังตั้งแต่เรื่องของขนสัตว์หรือ pelts แล้วก็วิธีการชีวิตการเป็นอยู่ของสัตว์ที่นี่นะคะ
Does anybody know what this is? You don't count. She already knows.
Dead animal.
Yeah, yes it is. This is actually what we call an ermine or a short-tailed weasel. These guys don't let their size fool you. They are feisty. This is one of our smallest weasels that we have here. Typically an adult size gets to be about 4 ounces. So it's not super big, but it is super feisty. What it does, number one, if you have people from upstate New York, you know what ermine are.
Could you move a bit?
So this guy right here, if you have chickens, you have to make sure that you have your coop closed up really good because it's going to get in there and it can decimate your whole flock. While they may be very small, they have taken on this stance where they can kill prey that is bigger than itself by utilizing those techniques. But he does this thing where he gets into a chicken coop and he loses it. He kills one and they don't stop. Something just snaps inside their head and they actually can take out the whole flock, and even though they don't eat it or anything, they just leave it. So yeah, it's really crazy. This is actually these are 2 more members of our weasel family. So over here we have a semi-aquatic species. It's called a mink, and this guy is really fascinating. He's the only member. You know how you have skunks and they emit that musk, and this guy right here, he does the same thing. He can emit a musk around his face area, and it's a mink oil, and it smells really foul. And so this guy right here is where you would find him would be down in a creek system or a river system, lakes, ponds, something like that, because what he's eating is going to be the fish, the frogs, ducklings, stuff like that. The muscles that come from the jaw to the top of the skull right here, those are the jaw muscles. That makes this area right here a really important and a real telltale sign of what they're eating. This is a very small sagittal crust. So you figure the amount of work that their jaws would use to break down prey or anything like that is very minimal for a marten. But go back to what they're eating.
Otter?
Yes, spot on. The mink they would hide right away. But these guys are sociable. They kind of like to show off. So they're down there, they're playing together and slipping and sliding. And do you know, these guys right here with in between running and sliding, they can get up to 30 miles an hour. They can actually outpace a human. It's pretty neat. He's actually the largest member of the weasel family here in Alaska. Anybody have an idea here?
Fisher?
Close. This is actually a wolverine. So very ferocious, very beautiful. This is a very important fur animal too. Because like for our dog mushers, you'll see them, they have the big hoods, and what they're doing is they line the edge of the hood with the fur, right? That fur creates a microclimate right here in their facial area. So a lot of times if you've seen any of the, television shows, you'll see ice just covering the faces of these people. You realize you have hair that you didn't know existed once moisture gets on it. But this hair actually prevents that from happening, and that's really important when you are out dog mushing, because you think about it, you're out there for a while. and you need to have your face protected from the inclement weather. But these guys, aside from all of that, you gotta check out their. When I pass this around, you're gonna notice this is kind of twisted. Okay, that's just the way the fur was processed, so it kind of looks really weird. But these nails right here, semi-retractable. Think about this. Cats have fully retractable claws. There are no other members of the weasel family here that have semi-retractables. But this all is going to make sense when I explain this. These guys are basically living up there on the sides of the mountains or in the tundra areas like in Denali area. You could probably find some of these guys right there. That would be a perfect habitat for them. But you figure they're up there, the tundra, think about that. There is not a lot out there, right? You get the animals moving through. Up there at the sides of the mountains are the same thing. So their territory is about 200 to 250 square miles. It is quite large. And so how would they adapt? They would adapt to be able to do all these different techniques, give them all the techniques possible to climb a tree, to be ferocious hunters, to be cachers. These are all attributes that this wolverine has, and it's really important because of the niche that they're occupying. So this guy right here, essentially, like I said, he's a hunter and he's a scavenger. Take a look at this skull, okay? Remember this little guy right here? Super cute, Martin, very delicate skull. When I passed the skull around of the wolverine, same family. They're both the weasel family, but this is just hardcore when you think about it. This is a very delicate type skull, but
Wow.
you've got to figure, check out that sagittal crest. This guy needs his jaw muscles. He utilizes it very much. He is out there in this climate. Number one, up on the sides of the mountain, that's pretty tough climate up there. And so he's got to be able to tear apart. There was an interface between a human and a wolverine.
This
and
is
that
a
one was actually
wolverine.
quite sad. All right, so these two guys right here, they are amazing little animals that are very, very common out here. I have noticed in our area we tend to have more cross fox than I see the red fox. Same animal, okay? They're both vulpes. They're just different morphs, okay? So this is what we call red fox, and this is what we call cross fox. Well, what a cross fox is you take a red fox, and if it breeds with a silver fox, just a different morph. It creates, a different color variance right here. But these guys, they are just awesome little hunters. And if you've ever had the chance to sit and watch them, they're out there in the meadows, they're alongside the road. They like that edge environment. The pipeline would be a great place for them because what they're hunting is, the red squirrel, the hare, the grouse that we've seen on the trail, the mice, shrews, stuff like that. And what they're doing, they sit and listen and with their little radar ears, and all of a sudden they catch the sound and they jump up and their front and back feet touch, and they spring and they dive down. Yeah, and their tail is so important because it provides that counterbalance. If they didn't have this big bushy tail, they could lose their balance and just fall right over, and they wouldn't be that graceful hunter that they really are.
Wow. Whoa. This one is
So
so
these
soft
guys,
again. Wow.
you figure they're kind of taking care of that small,
Ooh,
the
very
small
thick.
prey system that we
เฮ้ย
have out
หนา
here.
หนามากเลยนะคะเนี่ย
What happens? They den up. The males
Oh,
are
my goodness.
polygamous. The dogs, and whereas the vixen, she kind of stays with her pups and everything. But they both hunt for their offspring. And a dog, if he does happen to be polygamous, he will actually hunt for all of the females that he has offspring with. Come fall time, though, that's it. They all go their own way, and they don't actually ever rekindle that relationship.
This
of,
is
there's
a red
me,
fox,
here's my
right?
daughter," or anything like that.
Oh,
So it's
look
really,
at
it's
this.
really a fantastic thing that
Wow.
Wolverine does
This
that.
one is
Um,
thick.
But
Very thick.
let's just think about the biology of that as
Yes.
well, okay? They're in a very secluded environment. And think about this. if they didn't do that, how easy over inbreeding would actually, that would happen quite easily. Coyotes are non-native here. And basically, when Europeans moved through Alaska, we kind of paved the way for their existence and their ability to thrive here. Because you figure all of the smaller prey was being taken care of by our fox, and all the larger prey are being taken care of by our wolves. Where does this guy come in? He comes in with us. So what are we doing? We come in and we're clearing land, we're creating farms and everything like that. And so this guy is like, oh, I love your farm animals, I love your compost pile. And he actually competes with the fox and will kill the fox. Unlike a lot of the populations in the lower 48 that will pack up in New York, I'm talking to you, Pennsylvania, you guys too. I'm telling you, that was a big thing for me. You know, I come from here, we have wolf packs, and you know, anytime you ever hear them, they sound just gorgeous. A coyote pack does not sound gorgeous.
It's creepy.
That actually sounds terrifying. We had 15 acres and we had a pack that would circle around, you know, and we would hear them start up. They do that when they get a kill. They just are so loud. They're like, yeah, 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 yeah. And all I could think of is hyenas. And my skin would crawl. And I'm like, don't go out there. Don't even let the dog out, you know, because these guys, when they pack up like that, they can be quite big packs. Out here, though, that's not so typical. These guys tend to run in pair bonds, male-female, and it goes back to safety. And, you know, you're being so loud to look a little bit more ferocious, right? You know, a classic, you know, canine skull here. Brain case about the same as the fox. But these guys are getting into urban areas too. You know, you can find them all over the cities down south. And we have our only canine species here in Alaska. This is a lynx, and they are just amazing. They're about 35 pounds as an adult, not super big, but you got to figure out these attributes that they have. And in being 35 pounds and these big paws, they really are able to walk right on top of the snow. You get that coyote over there that a full-grown mature adult is about 35, oops, sorry about that, 35 pounds too, and it's sinking through, the snow, and you got to go back to the dispersal. You know, you got that weight dispersal, and they're just able to have an easy life there, padding around on top of the snow. 70% of their diet is our snowshoe hare. So this year we've had a really population boom with our snowshoe hare. I mean, you can't go anywhere without seeing them alongside the road, okay? And because of that, though, I've had the opportunity to see 2 lynx so far this year, and it was pretty exciting because I saw them cross the road, and they don't actually just disappear. The ones I've seen stopped, and they stared back at me, and it was just really awesome because it was actually the first time I've ever seen lynx.
Wow.
You know?
Look at
These guys,
my goodness,
they're going to have
really
a
big.
really good year.
Really
Probably
big.
have very healthy batches of offspring.
Look at it.
Because of this population. And of
It's
course,
just
when the
giant, man,
snowshoe hare population crashes, we're going to see these guys a lot more, and they'll be a little bit more, you know,
What is this one?
because of it.
Links.
But yeah, it goes back to that smell. The smell was there, and that's a very unique situation. But it goes back to the rarity of it. I mean, usually we do never see these guys. All right, so the last fur right here I want to show you is our beaver. And something that's actually quite interesting is, you know, remember when I was talking about this guy, he's eating 70% of his diet is that snowshoe hare, but he's also out there eating the grouse and the mice and birds, anything he can catch, you know. But you know, he also eats this guy right here. This is a beaver, and you figure beaver are semi-aquatic. They're living in a pond-like situation that they create themselves, but they can get up to 70 pounds. And I'm telling you, on land, they are quite awkward if you've ever been able to see one on land. I actually seen one cross the road, and it was hilarious. I thought it was, I was coming back from McCarthy, and I saw something really big and dark in the road, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is that a bear? You know, I'm I do what any normal person would do. I speed up to see the animal. And so I speed up, and then here we go. It's a beaver. And do you know what this beaver was doing, aside from crossing the road? He was tapping the road with his tail to warn all the other beavers that there was impending danger. I thought that was hilarious because, of course, he was on the road and not in the water. But it was such a rare opportunity for me. I come into an area along the creek area, and they see a lot of the balsam poplars, the aspens, willows, stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I could set up shop here." And so what do? They begin immediately cutting everything down because they have to dam it up. That's the way they're geared for everything. They tuck it into their mouth, and their lip comes right behind, and it closes off any access for the water to go down their throat. It's really, really neat. And so when I pass this skull around, just take a minute to check out that dentition. It is amazing accordion looking teeth. And I gotta tell you, it's fascinating. You figure they're eating the cambium layer here. They need all that area to grind it down. And it's no doubt, these guys are pretty fascinating. Oh, you don't need this. It's gorgeous.
Wow.
It's actually quite large. I have to tell you, normally they're around 80 pounds. That big one would be 145. This is obviously much larger. These guys are, they're one of our apex predators, which means that they're on the top part of the ladder for us when it comes to predators. They're important managers of all the populations here. These guys, though, they're going after wolves, caribou and moose, things like that. They'll go after Dall sheep and mountain goat as well if they have the opportunity. But these guys right here manage that population. I've got to tell you, seldom do they ever run into anything else that would create some interface. They'll run into a bear, but that's a quickly resolved situation. They work together as a fantastic team. They have a hierarchy. They have their alphas, their betas, their deltas within their group. And the way they behave within that group is very rigorous and controlled. You figure if they're meant to be a social pack creature, okay? And so if they decide to do anything that can get them kicked out of the pack, that is a very dangerous situation for them because in this area, one of these wolves alone cannot take out a healthy caribou or moose. Those moose and caribou can actually defend themselves quite well. And so they would have a very hard time taking out a healthy,
very huge.
A healthy animal.
Where's the tail? Where's
So
the
they
tail?
need each other to be able to work together the way they
Very
do.
thick hair. Yeah. Oh my
This
God.
is the skull of the wolf, and not that one, obviously. It would be much bigger. But if you look at the feature and you figure they're just meant, these guys are hunters. This is what their life depends on, is their teeth right here. So you can see these really sharp carnassials. They don't have those typical molar teeth so much that we do. Theirs is very limited. The sagittal crest, look at that. It's very sharp and tall. These guys typically, it's going to be the alpha female, the pups.
Wow.
Okay, so when I got back, I was just ecstatic to hear this, but I hadn't heard any until last winter, which was really unique. I don't know what was going on, but knowing that there's 2 active dens, and they both are different, it's two different females that have given birth. It's not sometimes they move them to another den. It's not like that. So that is 11,000 wolves. So our population is quite healthy, period.
Now it's grizzly?
Yes, spot on. This is a grizzly. You're going to notice that throughout your travels, you're going to hear it differently. You're going to hear brown bear, you're going to hear Kodiak brown bear. You're available to them down there. I know those claws make quite able to sustain that pregnancy, so they have to be able to have enough body fat on them to actually
afraid it's going to drop.
carry out the pregnancy throughout the winter time during hibernation. It is just neat.
Goodness.
But something, a sounder, right?
That
Well,
black bear
and then the
smaller
sagittal crest
and
isn't as
brown.
prominent, but you got to figure these guys are mostly scavengers. So while they're eating very similarly to the grizzly bear, like the vegetation and the berries, these guys are out there, and the fish too. These guys are out there, you know, getting into whatever they possibly can get into, and cleaning up after kills, stuff. So the big difference between antlers and horns. One is deciduous, which means it grows every year, falls off every year. Our horns are permanent. When they grow, they are a permanent structure, and unless traumatized, they will stay there for the duration of their life.